Uh, Thanks for that, Alan. Hi, everyone. Uh, I hope you can all excuse me. I'm, as you can see, quite familiar with being on stage. Not nervous at all. This definitely not nervous. So, from design to Kobe, we'll be talking about managing the design and construction of a bank headquarters in Lisbon. And first of all, I would like to uh, appreciate the our client, Novo Banco, and also Alpha Link, which is the project manager, for authorizing this presentation and letting us show here our story while managing this project. So just a quick glimpse of LIMSEN Consulting. Started out in 2017 as freelancers. Next year after that, we got our first scale BIM implementation in a design team with over 40 people. 2019, we've actually became the registered company in Lisbon. And in 2020, we've got our first major BIM management appointment in a 40 million development. 2021, this is where I come in, by the way. First hires start coming up. 2022, we got our first overseas client, which was a kind of a big deal for us, and also became founding members of Building Smart Portugal. For 2023, we've been ranked on the top 5%, the best small and medium enterprises in Portugal for the second year in a row, and currently we have been awarded long-term contracts up to 2026. So that's LIMSEN, that's us. Talking about the project itself, what are we dealing with? So 3 existing buildings, a new building extension, over 20 companies involved, and 3 construction sites in the same plot. This means that 3 different contractors were working side by side, still are. Actually, we have 47 models between designers, contractors, and subcontractors. A point cloud, a complete point cloud survey of the existing buildings, and almost 80 active members collaborating on the CDE. Here are the teams that I've mentioned, and some of the platforms and softwares that we used managing this project. While I would like to highlight some of them. Plannerly, for instance, it's something we use on a regular basis in our projects. So we believe we're very happy on the way we can communicate with Plannerly and setting up all the relevant information for every party involved. Also, Dalux was implemented as the primary way of communicating from contractors to smaller subcontractors, and also, of course, Enscape, Ogin, and basically Autodesk Suite for authoring tools, and also a CDE. So, starting from the beginning, we're appointed this job. It was already taking place, so already a complete point cloud of the existing buildings already took place, and this has proven to be the first thing to learn here, in the importance of being on board with BIM management since day one, because this building was constructed without any type of guidelines or modeling rules or clear objectives or of what is supposed to be used for. So it turned out to be used as a reference and not as much as the intended purpose. So here we have an example of reliability of the model. The model was too precise in some areas, while other areas lacked complete information. And this was kind of a two-edged knife, because you had a lot of information and a lot of precise and accurate information in some areas that were not so relevant, and areas that were highly relevant were missing or have misleading information, as you can see here in these images. So, to try to mitigate this and to prevent from happening again, the first thing we did when we came aboard was to quickly set up a BEP and make sure that everyone involved got to know this BEP and try with all teams as much as possible to negotiate the terms of the BEP, because, as I said, also the design teams were already involved in the project before BIM management was on board. That means that no exchange information requirements whatsoever was put in on top of the table, and of course many teams were unaware of the BIM requirements of this project. So so this is kind of a bold statement, but was actually pretty funny. This came up by the appointing party at the meeting. And why did he say that? Because basically BIM in this project was being used as an excuse to everything that was going south, per se. Milestones are failing. That's because of BIM. Your drawings are not clear enough. That's also because of BIM. You have a headache and you can't work. BIM's the one to blame. Yeah, that was pretty much our one of the challenges we had in the beginning, and this kind of start raising questions in the appointing party mind, of course. So moving on to design phase, of course we held many coordination meetings. We tried as much as possible to resolve some severe clashes. I think we've actually achieved it, but besides these regular and normal BIM uses, there were some interesting things that came up, and this I believe it's one of them. This came up really early in the project, and it was basically the need to evaluate the safety distance between the new extension part of the building to a high voltage power line that was running through some part of the plot. And even though we've developed this clearance model with all the regulations being complied, it turned out to be not valid for the licensing entity to consider it as a valid element. So it turned out for an extra pole to have been placed inside of the plot, which, as you can imagine, was something that the appointing party didn't show. Didn't think it was very good, of course. This is another model that was developed in this context regarding regulations. This was developed by the fire safety team, and instead of supplying the other teams, the designer teams, with the traditional 2D inputs regarding fire compartment, all the detectors needed, fire extinguishers, all of that, they've actually built a Revit model that was being consumed by all parties, and turned out to be very helpful in to make sure that all regulations were being fulfilled. So coming back to the clash detection again, of course we had more or less a year and a half in this process. We've managed to solve a lot of things, but we came up to a point that we realized that this is not relevant anymore, because construction site has already been started, and design meetings and coordination meetings were not fast enough for the pace of the construction. So let's move to site. This is where the major challenges became pretty evident. Because the design was not finished yet, we had multiple times where information overlaps, and it was kind of difficult to know for sure if you're working with the latest version. Are you building it correctly? Or a lot of doubt is on that, and here we have to put a very clear question that we would like to be answered for future projects. It being clear with who does what. Since the beginning of the construction, should the designer teams have any control at all in the models or not? We had this very clear idea in our minds that as soon as the construction starts, okay, models are for the contractor, and they're basically changing everything they need. Turned out this this didn't happen, and to try to avoid more problems, one of the things we achieved here is to overlap every single document that was being created, to put the auto versioning of BIM 360 into place, and to make it very easy and quickly understand what's being changed where and at what time. So as I said, 3 different contractors, 1 already fluent in BIM, 2 actually implementing BIM in this project. One of them is here, it's KTL. Basically, they started implementing BIM and actually created their site construction layout in 3D and made all the planning from there, and used Dalux as the main form of communication with subcontractors. Apart from that, they also did some augmented reality on site, which I think it shows the willingness to innovate and bring BIM models into the site. So that's cool. Sorry. So on the construction of this project, as I'm sure it happens in a lot more projects, construction and design models, we're still going side by side and supporting each other, and there was a need to clearly facilitate the communication between parties to avoid mistakes and, of course, costs. So for this, we set up different review processes that guaranteed that a first reviewer, which was site supervision, project management, would validate the changes that were being done, of course asked by the client, and after their validation, it was automatically passed on to the specific contractor, since there were 3. So this guaranteed that they got the most up-to-date information. So as of now, we have almost 800 review processes. Some of them already closed, of course, but still a lot of questions are being asked. And those questions were also a challenge, because if the design process is still ongoing, there's a need to put the RFIs available for everyone, and everyone should get access to them. So this is what we came up with. We used the issues on the BIM 360 docs to clarify all these questions. Contractors were asking questions directly on the models, and we used comments and actions to pass from one side to another and answer these questions. Also to mention here, very important, is that you have everything working in the same place. The CDE is, as we tried as much as possible to make it a single source of truth and have a permanent record of all the actions and all the questions that were asked during the project. But as you know, things don't go as planned every time. So here we have 3 different images. On the left, you can see the designers' models, and there's no cable tray there, right? Apparently no clash, everything's working fine, no worries. Turned out to be omitted in the project. In the electrical project was missing a very important cable tray that needed to go there. So the HVAC ducts that came before that, after that, sorry, had to improvise a solution. We have the as-built model on the right, and as I said, our goal here is to make sure that as-built models are as much as accurate as possible. And you can see it very clearly here. This is a slice of one of the ceilings on a building. This is basically the HVAC as-built, overlapping this point cloud, and here you can see the designer's module. So yeah, you can get an idea of the changes that were being made, and clearly in this image you can see the importance of having a proper as-built model. Otherwise it won't serve any purpose, right? So this is our main goal now, Kobe. We would like to ensure that valuable information, is being introduced in all the required assets. We've used Plannerly Scope to map all these elements, and we've also set up some guidelines to explain to all contractors how they are going to do this. What do you need to install? If you need any help, we've been helping them on setting this up properly. We're also using the verify module to verify what's being introduced, everything, if anything is missing or if info is there or not. And yeah, this is where we are now. As I said, I'm sorry for not having some sexy images. The project is not finished yet, and we're actually not allowed to show these images yet. But if you ever go to Lisbon, we'll be more than welcome to show you the site. Yeah, thank you. Have a good one.